What did you live through?
A nightmare, that's all I could tell people. I've lived in Abacos all my life. I've been through Hurricane Floyd, which was a 5 also, but I tell people this was like a 10. I mean, everything is gone. There's nothing left. Where there are standing, there's not much left to it. I mean, the structures are some standing, some are completely gone. In the mainland, Marsh Harbor, I understand there's hundreds and hundreds of people that are dead. I still don't have family members that I have accounted for yet.
NBC's Mariana Atencio speaking with a survivor of Hurricane Dorian in the Bahamas. The death toll now sits at 30, and officials stress that number is likely to rise dramatically. The country's health minister said the number of people killed in that Category 5 hurricane could be, quote, staggering. Crews are now in the process of going house to house, inspecting structures, in many cases just piles of rubble, where they once stood, as they search for any survivors and also recover bodies. Morning Joe medical contributor Dr. Dave Campbell was embedded in the Bahamas with Project Hope as the group races to provide badly needed supplies to those affected by the storm. Here first is Dr. Dave with Tom Cotter, Project Hope's Director of Emergency Response and Preparedness, followed by Dr. Dave speaking with some of the victims of the hurricane.
Abaco is an island that got hit the worst from this hurricane. I was actually there today doing an assessment at one of the clinics there to see exactly what the needs are. One of the challenges of this response is that because communications are down, we have to do this stuff in person. But in the meantime, we can anticipate what their needs are. So right now we're standing in front of a barge that's loaded with health and hygiene products that we were able to procure, palletize, and then get this barge donated to send right to Abaco. A lot of these hygiene products will help get them through the next coming weeks until they're into more permanent, even if it's temporary, permanent housing. Even as you approach the airport in Abaco, the runway is actually surrounded like a moat on all sides by floodwater. We had to take a pickup truck just to be able to get from the actual runway to the airport itself, which of course is not operating normally. So there's a lot of flooding. In terms of injuries and things that the clinic is seeing, it's mostly trauma right now. The flooding was obviously very bad, but the illnesses that we usually see associated with the flooding haven't really surfaced yet in terms of a health priority. What we're seeing is the injuries from the wind and debris in the wind.
You know, everybody at home is asking, and everybody across the world is asking what they can do to help the Bahamians in their recovery efforts from Hurricane Dorian.
I really want people to visit projecthope.org and do hit that donate button. We're well set up here. We're already starting our work. We're already distributing and meeting the immediate needs, and we're not going anywhere. We're going to be here for some time.
Can you tell us about it? I know it's hard.
Everything's just ruined. It's okay.
Where were you?
I was by my cousin's house, and that was the only roof in the neighborhood that stayed on. Everyone came to the house. There were like 80 people there. And then my grandma, I had to go get her out of the house because her roof came off. It was just, the pressure, the tornadoes, it was awful. Everything's destroyed. Everything's flattened. If it's not flattened, it's just a structure. No, people don't have homes. People don't have food. I've never experienced anything like that in my life. I pray nobody ever has to again. Did you hear?
What can we do today? What can we do today and help?
Just try to get people out because it's bodies and it's just going to get really bad. It's going to get really bad, and I feel like people are going to get desperate and panic, and they just need to get out.
So getting out is the main number one thing. Both of you have said that.
Nothing to go back over there.
There's nothing there.
Just flights and boats.
Flights and boats. Anything you can get people out, just get people out. Just get them to safety, because over there it's not safe. And as time passes and it gets worse and people start to panic and it's going to get really bad.
This is a mess, and this is a mess that we shouldn't have to clean up. I shouldn't have to get her here myself. I shouldn't have to ensure that she's secure. I'm 25, she's 26. This isn't my job. We don't have kids. But if I have to do this for as many people as I have to, if we have to rally, we will rally.
It's devastating. Anything anyone can do to help and donate. Project Hope, AmeriCares, the Red Cross. Up next, we'll get the latest on the storm's current path with Bill Cairns. Back in 2 minutes.
Thanks for checking out MSNBC on YouTube, and make sure you subscribe to stay up to date on the day's biggest stories. And you can click on any of the videos around us to watch more from Morning Joe and MSNBC. Thanks so much for watching.